Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. So thanks again for those of you who joined this morning. I have placed all participants on mute and will take any questions through the questions function on the webinar located on the webinar panel on the right-hand side of your screen. We'll have time for Q&A at the end of the prepared presentation. So my name is Jennifer Hiltwein, a member of the CRCF team here at CIT, and today's webinar is focused on the FY2015 solicitations application process. First, we'll take a quick high-level look at the solicitation. CRCF was appropriated $2.8 million for a single round in FY2015. 6 programs are available to the private sector, academia, and nonprofit research organizations. There are not a predetermined number of awards to be made in any program. I don't plan to go into the details of the specific programs during this presentation, but if you do have any questions about the requirements or other program criteria, I'd be glad to address those at the end of the discussion. All work this solicitation for all programs must align with one or more of the 7 industry sectors that you see here. So work must be in advanced manufacturing, specifically in additive manufacturing, remote monitoring and sensing, and robotics, in communications, specifically next-generation broadband networks, wireless telecommunications, and next-generation 911 infrastructure, in cybersecurity, energy, information technology, specifically in data analytics, life sciences, or modeling and simulation. Appendix B of each set of guidelines details more about these industry sectors, as well as other technology areas that you can identify as a secondary industry focus for your project in the full program application. Below is a snapshot of the key dates for this round. Important to call your attention to this morning is the LOI deadline. For our private sector applicants only, the LOI deadline has been extended through this Friday, December 19th at noon. This is specifically and only for LOIs intended for the commercialization and/or SBIR and STTR matching funds programs. The deadline was extended due to application difficulty experienced by applicants submitting LOIs to these programs. I'd ask if you would please spread the word about this extension, especially if you know of any entrepreneurs that maybe did not submit a letter of intent because they thought the deadline has passed. LOIs are a required element of the CRCF application process and must be submitted before you can submit an application. The LOI deadline for the remaining programs, matching funds, imminent researcher recruitment, and facilities enhancement loan, still remained yesterday at 5 p.m. Other dates to keep in mind are the application deadline on Friday, January the 30th at 5 p.m. Award announcements are planned for early June, and projects can start at the earliest on June the 16th. All materials for the solicitation are available online at the URL on your screen, and then by clicking on a specific CRCF program. Materials are program-specific and include guidelines, templates for the proposal and budget, and sample applications. Additionally, other resources to aid you in the process, such as an FAQs document and both live and recorded webinars, are available. Both LOIs and applications must be submitted online. Hard and/or soft copies sent via email will not be accepted nor processed. The sample applications, therefore, that are available for download and shown during this presentation in just a few minutes are only meant as an example and guide for the fields that you'll encounter in the online form. Each application consists of 4 to 5 parts depending on the program. At a minimum, all applications include a questionnaire, which I'll go through with you shortly, a proposal, a budget narrative, and an appendix. For the proposal and budget, there are separate and program-specific templates available to download from the website. The current templates for this solicitation must be used. For both of these documents, as well as the appendix on the next screen, please refer to the guidelines for required content and format. The appendix is the other component required of all applicants. There is not a template for this section, and information to be included varies by program. This would be the section to include the researcher's CVs, the required letter from the organization's authorized representative, any letters of support, and additional materials. For our matching funds program, this year, applicants must also provide a letter addressing market potential from the organization's licensing office or senior administrative official. I wanted to call your attention to this new requirement. Again, refer to the program guidelines for the required elements of the appendices submitted for that program. Additionally, all appendices must be within the page limit provided in the guidelines, so be mindful of this. Information outside of the page limits will not be reviewed. It is acceptable to combine information, such as letters of support, onto a single page if space is an issue, as long as everything is readable. Applicants under the SBIR or STTR matching funds programs must also supply the official notice of award for their Phase 1 or Phase 2 project. In the case that an award has not yet been made, but the proposal was submitted in calendar year 2014, upload a document in PDF format stating the calendar year 2014 round the proposal was submitted under, whether it's a Phase 1 or Phase 2, the sponsoring agency, the project title, and an estimated date of award. Should a CRCF award be made, funding is contingent upon receipt of this federal award. Applicants under the Facilities Enhancement Loan Program also have another required upload field. This is detailed in program guidelines, and I won't discuss it here since I don't believe there are any participants in this session applying under this program. The following two slides show examples of the fields on the online questionnaire. This particular sample is for the commercialization program, though the only difference may be extra upload fields for those extra application components we just discussed for SBIR and STTR matching funds and facilities enhancement loan programs. Again, these program-specific samples are available to download from CIT's website. I'd like to draw your attention to the Principal Investigator section. If the authorized representative and principal investigator are the same person, you can indicate this by selecting Yes at the first question, and you'll not have to fill in the remaining fields in this section. A reminder that the authorized representative is the individual authorized to execute legal documents on behalf of the organization or the applicant. In the case of universities, this would be an individual from the Office of Sponsored Programs. This should not be the PI or someone such as the department chair. The remaining fields of the application can be seen here. Take a look at the checklist section at the end of the application. We have included this as a final reminder of all required documents to be uploaded with the application. Once an application has been submitted, modifications by the applicant are not possible. If your application is not ready to be submitted, you may select the Save Only option and come back and complete and/or submit at a later time. Applications must be submitted to be considered for funding and must be submitted by 5 p.m. on Friday, January 30th. The screenshot here is of the proposal template. Again, this one is for the commercialization program. As I've mentioned, templates do vary by program. On the template where you see prompts to enter text here, click in that space and either type or paste content. The top section, which mimics information requested in the online form, is required. Please provide this information again. Page limits for each section of the proposal and the document as a whole can be found within the guidelines. Reminders are included within the template itself. Please be mindful of these limits as information outside of the maximum allowed pages will not be considered. All uploaded materials should be in final form without track changes or comments. And again, refer closely to program-specific guidelines for what should be included in each section. Applications that do not comply with the guidelines will not proceed past initial review. A page break has been included between the technical discussion and strategic plan, and for the SBIR and STTR matching funds programs, also between the strategic plan and the commercialization plan. It's okay for these sections to start on a clean and separate page of the template. Proposals should be uploaded into the online application in PDF format. All uploaded materials should be saved with the nomenclature described in the guidelines. In this table, you'll see the 6 programs offered during this solicitation, the required proposal sections, and specific comments. For instance, and as we just saw in the commercialization program template, a financial table is a required element for private sector applicants. These tables are brief and ask for such info as the date of incorporation, revenue per year since incorporation, and whether the organization is cash flow positive. Additionally, though importantly, while a separate commercialization plan is not required for all programs, CRCF places emphasis on the commercialization element for all programs, and this should be highlighted and addressed in all proposals. The CRCF team is constantly asked what makes good and strong proposals. The tips included here are not a guarantee for a CRCF award, but are meant to aid applicants in building a successful proposal. First and foremost, applicants should consult program guidelines, as I've stressed throughout this presentation, for specific criteria to be included in the proposal. This criteria is clearly spelled out in each set of guidelines and includes discussions of project objectives, the plan of work, and a timeline with milestones. Discuss how you will accomplish objectives, the activities, methodology, outcomes, and impact. Anticipated technical and economic outcomes for the Commonwealth should be addressed. Include an evaluation plan and sustainability. CRCF funds likely won't complete a project, so discuss other funding to be pursued. Discuss the technology or services market potential and the potential for commercialization, as well as the project team. When preparing the proposal, use the template for the correct program you're applying to and for this current solicitation. Write clearly and make it easy for reviewers to understand the project objectives and why the work is important and needed. Lastly, though not least, focus the discussions on the CRCF project rather than background information. In the case of SBIR and STTR, the proposal should not address the federal SBIR or STTR work, but rather should focus on the work that would be done with CRCF funds. Once submitted, each application goes through a 4-step review process, beginning with CIT, who will review each submission for compliance with the guidelines. Then, applications progress to subject matter experts who will review and rank submissions. Applications then go to the Research and Technology Investment Advisory Committee, or the RTAC, a 10-member body established in legislation to review and make award recommendations. Those projects that the RTAC recommends for funding are sent to CIT's Board of Directors, who make final award decisions. For this solicitation, awards will be announced in early June. Complete information on the FY2015 solicitation can be found on the URL on your screen. As mentioned previously, resources are available to aid you in this application process. In addition to program guidelines, we've prepared an FAQs document that addresses many of the questions about CRCF and its programs. Additional live webinars are scheduled, including another session of this presentation and 2 on completing the budget and budget narrative. The first budget session is this afternoon at 1 p.m., so I encourage you to register if you're interested in learning more about that process, which wasn't covered in this discussion. Webinars are recorded and posted to the website, so if you can't make a live session, you can view one of those on your own time. Lastly, my team is always available for questions by emailing crcf@cit.org. Now, I'll open up the session to any questions that you may have. Again, all participants will remain on mute in order to eliminate background noises and feedback, so please submit any questions via the questions function on the webinar panel, and I'll address those in the order that they come in. Will you make the slides available in PDF so that we can share with our partners? I can do that, and I will also post the webinar in its entirety with the recording on our website. If you're interested in receiving a PDF copy of the slides rather than the recorded presentation, if you wouldn't mind just sending an email to crcf@cit.org and we'll provide it that way. The recording that will be on the website will be the narrative as well as the slides. So I mentioned the importance of discussing impact in the Commonwealth. Is this specific to the Dulles Corridor, or are you interested in a project that has initial statewide focus? So projects can be across Virginia. We are looking for statewide impact and eventually projects that might impact the nation or the entire world. So anyone throughout the Commonwealth is welcome to apply and just specify the impact that it can have either on your particular region or other regions as that applies. It's a great question. Is there a more specific format for the proposal? So the proposal, you'll need to use the template that is program specific and available for download from our website. In terms of the specific content, it's detailed in the program guidelines, again, specific to your program. When I mentioned some of the tips that we're looking for, we're definitely looking for content that addresses such things as what the CRCF project is about, the impact that it does have on the Commonwealth, both economic and technical, providing a timeline with specific milestones. There's a lot of very key information, and it's spelled out quite specifically in each set of guidelines. And if there are questions specifically about those requirements, I'd be glad to take those, if not on this presentation, then via the email address. Using those templates that are program specific as well as solicitation specific is really important. Okay, and I don't see any more activity at the moment. So maybe for real this time, we'll go ahead and wrap up the webinar with this. And like I've said, if there are any questions at any time throughout the process, either myself or my team members will be glad to answer those by emailing crcf@cit.org. And I just wanted to thank you for taking about half an hour out of your days to talk about the application process. If you're interested, I mentioned that a second webinar would be hosted this afternoon at 1 p.m. on completing the budget, and I encourage everyone to participate in that. If not this session, then certainly another one or reviewing the materials online. So thanks, everyone. We really look forward to receiving your application.